Welcome to episode 2, part B of Are You Stuck Defining Yourself by Your Performances? This is designed for students, athletes, and those whose career challenges are such that they want to perform better under pressure. Last week, we established that destructive pressure is about proving your worth, where the performance is associated with your sense of self or your self-definition. On the other hand, we understand that pressure can be very constructive and an ally when you perform because you genuinely care or love what you do. Now, if we look on the left here, Michael Jordan is a classic example of having a deep love for something that he enjoys doing. Studying him and others, we've come to understand that the number one fuel for developing mastery is deeply knowing and feeling what you love about what you're doing. It certainly keeps you going when things get particularly difficult or there are obstacles in your path. Amazingly, not an uncommon experience. So, if your activity is actually for you just a means to an end, the unfortunate news is that you're going to want to be, if you're going to want to be free to deeply enjoy your journey and better manage the pressure you're experiencing, you're going to need to find a way of being at peace with the outcomes that you want not necessarily occurring consistently. This can be tricky, and in my clinical experience, is quite common, particularly in work case scenarios, say where you might have a demanding boss that's standing over you and demanding results when you're not quite there. I address these sort of issues comprehensively in individual sessions that you can access by clicking on the link associated with this video. Again, just know that you know your activity being an end in itself or a means to an end is neither right nor wrong. It's just the way that things are. And sometimes we have to learn to flex those. Going back to Michael Jordan, uh, what an incredible athlete and performer. He talks about repeatedly missing game-winning shots after the siren under great pressure again and again. Yet, with enormous courage, he returned next week after each and every imperfect performance in front of thousands of fans to bring out his best game again. He did this because to him playing mattered, because of his drive to be his best, nobody else's, and due to his deep love of the game. I strongly recommend that you have a look at the link I have there, which is very inspiring indeed. Next, we're going to look at how to help you develop a deeper understanding of the meaning of your activity using a short reflective exercise that involves a bit of embodiment. Before we do, just an important clarification. You might not be yet skilled, educated, or experienced enough to meet your full potential. That's not really what we're after at the moment. We're really just after, can you imagine yourself having reached your full potential, performing at your very best that you're capable of? We know that every meaningful achievement starts as an image, a dream, or a felt sense of possibility. The Aussie band Silverchair is a classic example of this. You can imagine those young lads in their early adolescence smashing out tunes in their garage and imagining what it's like to be up on stage. We all know where that ended up. I'm going to recommend that for this next exercise that you close your eyes if you feel safe to do so. What might be the case is that if you've had a lot of unpleasant recent performance-related stresses, you may find this difficult. So I'd recommend that you just stare at the wall in front of you. In order to get ourselves a bit centered, I'd like you to use this breathing technique. Now, this involves using your diaphragm effectively and taking in 3 short but deep breaths all the way down into your lungs, like this, in blocks of 2, and then an exhalation which is long and slow, and it might sound like this. As I relax my shoulders. I'd encourage you to perform 3 of those, and at the end of that, allow your favored activity to come to mind. Just allow you some time to do so. I'd like you now to just remain as you are, centered, with your activity in mind, and just consider, is there one part of the activity that you could really enjoy, or imagine enjoying, or really dream about enjoying or mastering? If so, picture yourself doing this, fully engaged, completely absorbed in the flow of it, just doing it. Now notice where the energy or motivation is coming from. Is it from within? Or does it feel like it's being imposed by your mind? Again, neither is wrong. It's just that where your mind gets more involved, it's likely that your expectations are external rather than potentially internal and for the joy of the activity. If your level of stress is increasing gradually because of memories, please open your eyes and just repeat the breathing exercise in blocks of 3 long, slow out breaths until you feel calm again. Considering what you've just experienced, I'd like you to reflect on whether you now know that you're striving because you feel in flow with the activity. It's intrinsically meaningful or satisfying. Or is it something other than that? And perhaps it is that you're seeking approval from others or you're trying to avoid criticism, judgment, or failure. Again, both things can be the case, and neither is right or wrong. Just notice those. We do know that the last two, however, create a very different relationship with performance pressure, and may be the case that you are helped by chatting to somebody else about this. A few other questions to consider. If you go back to your imaginal best, take a moment to feel what you might gain from that inside, what that would be like to have that feeling, to carry that around with those memories. Consider what it will cost you in time, effort, and discipline to achieve some of that, have a taste of it. And even more to the point, what it would feel like if you didn't even try or you didn't persist from where you are. Get a sense of whether you think the benefits outweigh the costs for you to commit to this. And I'd like you to rate your own level of commitment now, which we'll use to chart progress further down the road in videos. So just write down on a bit of scrap paper on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is no commitment or no confidence, and 10 is 100% commitment or confidence, what you would rate confidence in meeting your current performance goals at the moment. Again, it's not about certainty, it's about an honest commitment. Finally, we're just going to address the role of others briefly. And you may remember from a previous episode that I mentioned, of course, the extent of socializing that we experienced, which really influences our engagement in activities. And usually it's strongly occurs from, family, teachers, coaches, and friends, perhaps give us lots of feedback. And if you feel that that's really constructive and supportive, I'd like you to absorb that, to sponge it up, because you're really going to need that on the road to progress. Conversely, if these individuals are not supportive, it becomes even more important to clarify the meaning of what you're doing because you're going to need some fuel in the tank to get through. You might need to talk openly with trusted others about what your current experience of pressure is. Sometimes others can help us see bigger picture possibilities that can help us get around some of the obstacles. And sometimes they don't. And sometimes they actually detract or undermine our experience. If that's the case, it might be time to acknowledge that you don't have the right support or perhaps the right environment for you to progress at the moment. It might be important for you to hit the pause button and just reflect on what possible choices you've got at the moment. Now, that may mean ceasing things temporarily, and that's not failure, that's simply wisdom until you can obtain the right environment to make progress. Don't forget that highly skilled activities take a lot of effort and can take a good deal of time. I can certainly vouch for this, over 5,000 skydive landings. Next episode, we're going to look at how to carry your deeper understanding that you achieved today of the meaning of your performances directly into moments of pressure and be able to use this when it matters most. I appreciate you listening, and I look forward to presenting to you again on my next episode. Bye for now.